Welcome, everybody. It's your girl, Sean Venable, real estate coach, wealth strategist, all things wealth. And I am super excited about my session today with Crystal Alston, just an amazing all around individual. Crystal, last year, Dwayne and I had an opportunity to interview Savion, your husband. And there was one comment that stood out in my mind. And he said, if you really want to know the real deal, like my secret sauce, you need to bring my wife on. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So this is a dream come true. I want to preface this conversation by saying that when I thought about you and having the opportunity to learn from you, I thought a cool title for this session would be to maximize your potential. I know we run into some similar circles, and I'm in awe and amazed at your accomplishments, how many things that you've been able to do and do them well and walk it out so gracefully. And then meeting you in person at the conference last year, you saying yes, inspiring the crowd. I was like, she's so humble, yet so accomplished. And so I'm really here tonight, to be honest with you, to sit at the feet of greatness, to learn. I know, girl, I feel that thing, to sit at the feet of greatness and to learn from you and give people an opportunity to glean from you as they are living out their purpose. So we have a tradition. We ask everyone to introduce themselves by way of who you are, what you do, and how you add value. And so I want you to tell the people who you are.
All right. Well, first, Sean, thank you so much. I look up to you a lot. Ever since Savion first told me about you and Dwayne, you were always someone that I aspired to be like. You're beautiful, but now that I met you, you're beautiful inside and out. You're a go-getter, and you say what you mean, and you mean what you say. And I know just by meeting you over the past few years that it means that's how you reach your goals. And so the same way that I've seemed to inspire you, please know the feeling is mutual. So thank you so much for giving me this platform. It's very rare that people ask me about my journey and who I am. Sometimes they just want to see the snapshot of where I am now, but they don't understand what it took to get here. And it's very rare that I get to sit back and reflect on my journey. And so thank you first. So my intro. So I am Crystal Alston. I am married to Savion Alston, which is how we met. And I do appreciate him saying that about me. It's very humbling. I almost started to tear up a bit because I really look up to Savion as well. But I am the co-owner of Synergy Home Care of North Raleigh. And I am also a North Carolina real estate broker and realtor through Allen Tate Realty. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I am a full-time entrepreneur now as of June 2023. That's a whole nother story I'm sure we will dive into. But I provide value because I always lead with wanting to care for others. So when I think about, I consider myself a multi-passionate person. And it took a while for me to realize that I can have passion and interest in so many different things. But one thing that I realized is no matter what it is that I'm doing, it's always to help others and improve the lives of others. So with home care, that is a direct contact, right, type service where we are literally improving the lives of others. Real estate is a more long-term gain, right? Generational wealth, whether we were fixing and flipping, or if I'm a broker to private clients, it really means that I'm helping and caring for all. And I have some other ventures that I've had in my back pocket, things that I want to do still, but it all ties to my own personal mission, and it is to improve lives and show people that I care. I think I'm a natural mentor. I don't say a teacher, but I am a natural mentor. And so I always want to make sure that whatever knowledge I have, I can share it with others. And I am the one that will say, I don't know, but let's figure it out together. And I've done that pretty often, whether it was in my corporate career or now as an entrepreneur. So that's how I provide value.
You are amazing. I love your mission to serve and to help others. And there's so much wisdom in you. Like, I don't even know, maybe I should have called this pearls of wisdom, right? So
Yeah,
have
I
you
like that.
always been wired this way? And tell me about the evolution, because I know you went to school, landed a career in corporate, you transition out of that full time, you've done some amazing things, but I want to know about the ups, the flows, the peaks, the valleys. Like, how did it start?
um, so it'll have to start before I even realized that I had an entrepreneurial spirit. So I grew up in a small city in South Carolina, Orangeburg. That's my hometown. I love it. And I think ever since I was little, I always had a goal. So ever since the age of 5, I wanted to be a doctor. I never knew how that came about, but I will never forget the very first time someone said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "A doctor, a pediatrician." That was my life's goal. So everything that I did was for that purpose. So getting good grades, community service. I was a candy striper. Like I was just, my parents just always instilled good work ethic. Um, straight A's was the main goal. B's was like, what's going on, right? So I was that type, and I'm the oldest. So with the
Yeah.
oldest, it's more structured. Begged for my sisters, and when they finally came, I even took that role very seriously because now they have someone to look up to. So I always strive to be the best. Came to Durham to attend North Carolina Central University, Eagle Pride, class of 2004.
Look at you
So
representing, ain't you? I
oh,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, obviously, yes. So, went to school biology, pre-med, right? Because I wanted to be a doctor. And then I'll never forget my sophomore year, that summer, we learned about the Biomedical Research Institute and Technology Enterprise, BRIGHT, that was coming to Central. And I had no idea what biotechnology, biomedical was, but they were giving away scholarships. And so I spoke with two of my closest professors who had known me since freshman year, and I talked to them about it, and just didn't know if I wanted to go that route. I honestly thought I was jumping into something just so that it could help me pay for school. It turned out to be a 16-year career.
Wow.
So, in order to graduate from the Bright program, they required you, I don't know if they still do, but at the time you had to do a summer internship with a biopharmaceutical or biotechnology company. And I interviewed with a few, including Merck. And Merck had just broke ground in 2004, and they were starting to do their startup. You're in biotech, so pre-PAI, all that stuff. They were doing startup just that same year. I had no clue. I was just trying to get this internship so I could qualify for graduation. And I didn't realize that I had applied for an intern. The one spot that I interviewed for, I didn't get it. And I'm like, gosh, well, where am I going to go? Well, Merck called me back and they said, we actually interviewed you for operations, but we see that you're a better fit for quality.
Mm.
I'm like, I don't know. Fine. I got an internship. Great. Put me there. That was literally the start of my career. And I lived, breathed, ate quality assurance and quality control for so long. It just became, it was whatever that person saw me, and I know her name to this day, what she saw in me, I do not know, but I am so thankful because I could not get away from her. I was directly tied to our goal to save lives and improve lives. And because it was pediatric vaccinations that we were focusing on, I felt that it was tied to my original goal when I was 5. So I was able to justify it in my own way when I told my parents I'm not going to medical school. I got a job before I even graduated college. They were proud. They saw the connection. And for me, that was that was how I started, right? So 16 years corporate. So I started in basically 2007 there, the summer before I graduated. But it, I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur even once I got my real estate license. So I got
Really?
my real estate license I bought my first house 2013. I had such a great experience. I think I had the best realtor ever. He was so awesome. And Termel Kenyon. And I was like, this is so great. Like he changed my life for me and my daughter. Like I had my first house. I'm in my mid-20s. Like this is great. And I was like, well, I want to learn how to become a real estate agent too.
Well, I can help
I want
others.
to, so I can help others. And honestly, Sean, my parents, and I never connected the dots, but my parents were into real estate.
Mm.
My dad is actually a full-time real estate investor. But growing up, they had properties, and I remember, someone calling, hey, we need help at the house, and my dad would he's such a handyman. He can fix anything, he can build anything. And he would go, but I never realized as a child that meant that they had already seen a bigger picture of generational wealth and real estate investing. I just thought, oh, that's cool. We got some apartments over there. My dad go and help, if they need. I never connected with that. My mom actually had her own salon. She was a cosmetologist for some years.
So it's in your blood.
It's in my blood.
It's in your
I
DNA.
remember being 6 years old. My aunt, my dad's sister, she had her own clothing store, boutique, and she was teaching me how to run a cash register, how to greet customers. I was 6, how to greet customers, how to organize the clothes in the back, and I never connected the dots until she reminded me when I was telling her I was on this journey. She said, "You know that you've been seeing us be our own bosses since you were a little girl," and I was like, "Wow, no wonder it just." When it hit me, it was like, this ain't nothing new.
It's been there the entire
I
time.
just I think I had to accept it also, and we can get into that later. But so when I became a real estate agent, I just thought I was learning a new skill, and I was going to use it as a means to make some money on the side and help people at the same time. Um, and it really started to pick up. It started to become its own thing. But at the same time, I was climbing the corporate ladder at Merck, and I didn't know how to really balance the two. But that's when I started to learn that what my real estate business doesn't have to look like everyone else's. This is my story.
Yes. Hold
And
up. Can
I'm
you
able
say
to,
that again for the people like all the way in the background? Because I think we often get caught in trying to follow someone else's blueprint. And when it's your
Mhm.
business, you are literally the CEO. You get to decide, you get to design. I had a coach that told me that I was so stuck in
Yeah.
trying to do things the way that I thought they should be done or the way that I had seen them done.
Mhm.
We get to decide. Okay, so just say that
Yeah,
again and keep going, girl.
definitely. So I realized that my real estate business did not have to look like everyone else's. I knew I had a goal at Merck. There were certain positions that I wanted, but it didn't mean that I still didn't enjoy it. So I had to find that balance. So Sean, enter Savion. This is how we met. So somehow one day, he was like, "Aren't you a real estate agent?" We had never spoken before, and I was like,
Really?
"Oh, how did you know this?" He was like, "Oh, I heard you talking to some friends or whatever, girl
Mhm.
talking."
Yeah, yeah.
But I was like, "Wow, well, I am a real estate agent." Yeah, I am. Like, yes, right. And you know how it is when you're in corporate, you don't feel like you can talk about other things and what you're doing. It becomes an identity, right? You have to separate the two. It's
Mhm.
almost like politics and religion. Like you don't talk about what you do after 5 or before 9. So
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, I am a real estate agent. Wow, somebody else is interested in real estate. Well, fast forward, we're dating now. My first fix and flip was with Savion
Are
while we
you
were dating.
serious?
Yeah, so we were business partners before we were married. And it was funny because my dad back in 2016, he was like really picking up with his investing back home. And he was like, Crystal, I mean, you're gonna need to start doing some investing. And I was like, yes, sir, I know. I was scared though, Sean. I was like, I know, but I don't know. He was like, well, just let me know and we can, do something together. I can walk you through. Then Savion comes and I'm like, oh gosh, he wants to invest with me. Like, but I trust him. I saw how he worked with his other two flips. I was like, this is great. Talked to my mom. I was like, Mommy, is it okay? Like, what do you think
Yeah.
about me investing with this guy? I don't even, I'm not married, but it's Savion. And she was like, if you trust him, treat it
Mhm.
like a business. It's a business partnership, right? You trust him, you have fun together, y'all spend time together, y'all always, you know.
We're always together. Yeah.
But yes, I'm like, okay, let's do it. We did it. But see, Savion actually brought me in when he did his first fix and flip by himself. He hired me as his real estate agent.
Oh,
And that meant so much
wow.
to me. Even though we were dating, he didn't have to do that.
Mhm.
Sometimes people don't want to mix their relationships with business, but he trusted me. And he wasn't the type of client that, oh, what are you doing? What's today? We worked so well together. So when it was time to fix and flip, that's when we started to learn, oh, that's your strength. I'll let you handle that. Oh, that's your strength. I'll let you handle that. And that's just harmony. I mean, we take that with us to this day. Um, and so we did our first fix and flip, and I was like, whoa, I like that. Um,
Mhm.
so not only was I getting into the design and being able to foresee what a home could look like, right? But then being the realtor on the back end, it just being able to tell the story of how the home went from A to B, it
Mm.
just connected me on a whole nother level with the communities that we were working with. And we were in smaller communities, Franklinton, on the outskirts of Durham, and ushering in new families for these homes. Oh, it just meant the world. And I was like, okay, I'm loving where we are. We
Yes.
get married. Um, I'm still doing good in real estate. By this time, I hired a VA. Hiring her gave me my best year ever in real estate. I put systems into place. I had invested into some coaching. It got to the point where I started to see I can pull that lever,
Mhm.
right, with real estate, because I could design my business to look how I wanted it to be. So if it was getting really busy at Merck, I could slow it down. If I felt like I had a handle on some things, I could pick it up. It was so great. Then we got married. Then COVID happened, got engaged, so things really slowed down with real
Mhm.
estate. Getting into the new norm, virtual school, because I am a mom of a 13-year-old now, and that was like third grade, fourth grade for her. It was hard. It was
Oh, yeah.
tough. Um, and so when we got married, I had real estate as my outlet outside of my corporate career. And I wanted to make sure that Savion had something too. Even though fixing and flipping was something he's great at, I knew that there was something missing. And ever since I knew Savion, I knew he wanted to be in the senior care industry, whether it was non-medical transportation, family care homes, home care agency, being a senior placement advisor. He has he probably still has them in his man cave, but he would have these notebooks lined up for every industry. He would look at all the rules and regulations for the state, how to get properly licensed, and he would have it all organized, contacts, because he's a great networker. It was one of the first things that I learned about him. And so I always knew in the back of my mind, he wants to care for seniors in some capacity. And so when we got married and things kind of calmed down after all the planning, I went to him and I said, well, I know that senior care is something that is very important to you. So let's sit down and let's figure out what our goals are for this. We got to get this going.
Hold up. See, a man that finds a wife, like you are his good thing because you know your worth, but you see the king inside of your husband and you know his potential, his capability, um, his ability to soar. You were
Mhm.
observant and you took it to him. Girl, tell the rest of the story. This is good.
Yeah. Whew, yeah. I really do. He's amazing. But I went to him and I said, all right, so what are we gonna do? Like, I'm coming to you, but I don't know nothing. Zilch. So he's like, well, family care homes. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's like a home, and the seniors live in the home, and then we have caregivers and nurses that take it. Okay, all right. So what's first? I'm here, right?
Yes.
Use me, I'm here. So he was like, well, first we have to go through this training, like through the state to become an administrator. So Sean, like weekends, we're going to this class, we're on Zoom. I'm taking notes. Of course, he has his notebooks. He's eating this stuff up. I don't know any of the lingo. The rules and regulations are so long, but in my head, I'm like, listen, FDA, we're
Yep.
good. I can figure out some rules and regulations, but I was a bit out of my element. I was just like, whoa, this is a lot. The doors got to be this many inches apart. You got to have sprinkler systems in the house. Can't be more than this. People that need wheelchair support. It was a lot. And I was like, all right, but we're doing it. And we did it. We completed it. I still have pictures. We have our certificates. We're like little kids. We invested the time and we did it. But we felt that it was going to be a huge expense for a small impact. And the reason why I say small is because when you start family care homes, you can only have a certain number of people in the family care homes for, per the state. And we wanted to be able to cast our net very wide without being restricted. So we took a pause on it because we were looking at homes. We were, getting prepared to purchase our first care home, but we took a pause. And of course, COVID doesn't really help. It was still shut down at that time. And he said, well, babe, because my husband is a man of many ideas. He's learned to filter them out because I think he comes up with probably 50 ideas a week, if not more. He tells me, he said, I can't even tell you all of the ideas that I come up with because you'll probably think I'm crazy. So I
We're gonna
say
keep
50.
the Dwayne apart a little bit. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So he was like, well, babe, there's a extension of family care or something similar, and it's just home care, in-home care. I said, okay, well, well, what is that? What's the difference? And he was like, well, we actually go into the homes and provide care. So there's no limit to how many people we can care for at once, and we can expand our impact. And I said, okay. I said, that sounds great. But the only way that I will consider this is if we do a franchise. I
Mm.
have built brands from the ground up, and it is very difficult. I know
Mhm.
we can do it, but this is huge. This is big. We were both still in corporate. And I said, we need the backbone of a franchise and a well known brand that we can use to introduce ourselves to this industry. I know you've done your research, I know nothing about it. If you want me to help and be 50% partner with you on this, we got to consider a franchise. He was not feeling it at all. He did not. He was like, well, I know we can do it on our own. I said, I know we can do it on our own. But we really need to consider something different. That was just how I felt. And he sat on it. I don't know how long, but that was my only ask. That was my only request. And he came around one day and he said, I've been thinking, um, I've been looking at some franchises.
Yeah.
Whoa, because when Savion has an idea, he wants to execute. Very rare does he get into paralysis analysis, which is really good. I'm more of an operations logistics type person. Okay, well, where do we start? How is this going to look? What's our mission? What's our goal? Well, what's the brand? What's the colors? What's the logo? What's the tagline? What's I need all of that. Like, I need to know the buildup. And
Yeah.
I knew that with a franchise, that will already be there. But I specifically wanted a franchise where we had that support from corporate, but we could put our own essence on our office. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what we got with Synergy. Um, Buying into the Synergy franchise was like joining a family that we didn't know we had out
Oh.
in Arizona. It was I never knew what that process looked like. You think you're just interviewing them, getting some questions, you qualify, and that's that. It literally felt like, I mean, every step of the way, I didn't even feel like I was in a intake process. I just felt like it's exchanging information, exchanging goals, making sure we're aligned. And by the time we get to this, I can't remember what the day is called, but it's where you meet everyone, including the
Mm.
president. I sat back, I said, Savion, this whole time, I know that we were researching them, but they were making sure that we were a good fit for them and the other franchise partners. And it never felt that way. It
Wow.
just felt like a even exchange. And I still feel that way to this day. Um, when I say they support us every step of the way, they have not let our hands go. From the time we signed on to the time we got our license to now, I mean, it's an amazing franchise. And what I love about it is that they really allow you to, what are your goals? They don't say, oh, Crystal, you all have, oh, 5 clients now, you should have 15. Why don't you have 30? They just say, well, what are your goals and what can we do to help? And I absolutely love that. So we are, when they say independently owned and operated, it is independently owned and operated. Our mission and our initiatives are our own. They do tie back to the main goal of Synergy Corporate, or Synergy across the nation. We're a big family, but every office can run how it wants, and I absolutely love that. My mom says I'm bossy, so she says you don't have to be in control. I just like to have oversight, and that's
Important.
it does for me. Yeah, it is important. And Savion and I wanted to make sure that we took what we learned from our experiences in corporate. And I was a people manager in corporate. It was one of my first huge goals at Merck. And at 30, I became a people manager and I loved it. Mentorship is I just love being a mentor, and I do that here with Synergy with our caregivers. If they allow me to, I jump into like a life coach mode,
Mhm.
checking in, but we wanted to make sure that we took what we like from corporate when it comes to organizations, building a culture. We wanted our caregivers to feel tied to something bigger than them because with this workforce, normally, or with this industry, normally it's just them and the client.
Mhm.
They don't really have to connect with the other caregivers. I didn't want them to just hear from me when it was, time to fill shifts or hey, where's your clock in? I wanted them to realize that they were joining a
Oh,
family.
Crystal, I think I may have lost you.
Okay,
Okay, no, we are back. Okay, no, this is good.
good, good,
Oh,
good.
this is good.
Um,
Yes.
but yeah, so I think I even skipped the whole part about me resigning from Merck because
So
that's just
wait a
something.
minute. Yeah, because okay. So girl, first of all, this is so good, right? Um, you definitely maximized your potential. I love how you were smart, curious, considerate. You weighed all the options and you started moving in a path that worked best for you. So, okay, you had an opportunity with real estate when you first started moving in that to kind of pull the lever, right? You could determine
Mhm.
when you wanted the faucet to, be full stream and when you wanted to pull
Yeah.
back. Now you enter into the franchise, you are building business. Where is the crossroads between the business and Merck? Because I
Mm.
currently sit in corporate. I work for
Yeah.
biotech. Um, I have a very demanding role. I did a
Hmm.
stint in quality, and so I understand all of the components that go on with that. When you are overseeing and leading people, that's a whole nother task.
Hmm.
So where's this great collide of purpose, intention, and how do you handle it? Because hold on,
So
let
it
me
was
breathe.
not.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it, it was not an easy journey. Um, when I speak of the resignation from
Okay.
Merck, it was not easy because Merck had become a part of me. I was with them since I was 21, 22. I had known nothing but Merck. Um, and so a lot of people don't know this, but probably a few months after I got engaged, I invested in a personal coach. I don't think she calls herself a life coach or a business coach. Her name is Kristen Wilson. For those who are from my town, they know her, Kristen Williams. But Kristen Wilson was my personal coach from either late 2020, early 2021, up until this past winter. And I knew when I decided to hire Kristen as my personal coach, I knew my life was going to change. I knew that if I invested the time to be specific about my goals in life, she was going to help me reach them. She was almost like a therapist
Yes.
too, because you have to do that work first. And it was some ugly cry moments.
Mm-hmm.
But I always knew, as much as I love working at Merck and I love quality, I always knew that I would not be there forever. And I always knew that when I would resign, it wouldn't be to go to another company. I always knew I would resign to work for myself.
Did you
Uh,
know that?
I knew that.
Oh wow.
I knew
This
that.
is
There were times where I forgot. I had forgotten that, but I always knew that. And I was really reminded when I resigned. And one of my friends, she said, CJ, you know that you always told me that you would leave to work for yourself. And so it was something that I just knew. I didn't know what it was gonna look like. I honestly thought it was gonna be for real estate. Um, but when I hired Kristen as my coach, it was really for me to understand what's keeping you in this cycle. If you have this pull, you have this feeling, you're starting to dip your toe, you're doing this with real estate, you're doing so well with Merck, what is it? So the reason why it took me about 3 years was because I still had some work to do at Merck to make sure that when I did resign, I was fulfilled.
I love
Um, you know how you feel like something's not, my work isn't complete.
yeah.
So I knew that there was something that I needed to accomplish there first, just for my own personal satisfaction. I always say I want to live till I'm 100, and I make decisions based on when I'm 100 and I'm thinking back, what will I regret? If
Yes.
I'm going to regret this moment leaving now, it's not time. So I knew I had something to finish at Merck, but I had to think about, well, what about after?
Yeah.
And Kristen pulled the CEO out of me. She was the one that helped me realize that you are multi-passionate. It is okay. You can have balance with all of the things. One thing, she wasn't like, oh, you want to be out of Merck? Push. She was the type that said, while you're in this moment, you still want to be at Merck. You still like real estate. You still want to start Synergy. You can do all of the things. You still, now you're a wife, mom, dog mom. I'm still a sister, a daughter. You have all of these hats. How do you balance it? So first we had to go through that homework. It was a
Yeah.
whole few months of just balance, knowing who you are, pivoting. I realized that my anxiety is tied to time.
Yes.
And once I broke through that, it was amazing. So I was able to be even more productive, realizing that also because I'm on it, it doesn't mean that I have to start every single thing because
That's
I
true.
have I have a lot of ideas. I may not have as many as my husband, but I have a lot too. But I have to be smart about, okay, well, is it okay to even start or just have that idea and just save it
Yeah.
for later? So once we broke through that, it was time. And
What was that day like? Oh my goodness. Because you got me like sitting at the edge of my seat, like, we about to do this.
so yeah, it literally it was before, so the day I resigned, it was June 1st, I'll never forget. About 2 months before that, the thoughts were just stronger, and I would pray and meditate. My God, is this what you're saying? And I had to do the work to separate my identity of I just thought it was Crystal and I work for Merck. And
Yeah.
I'm in quality assurance, I work for Merck. We make child vaccines and I love it. And I've been there for 14 years. I loved it. And I thought, well, if I'm not Crystal who works for Merck,
Who
what does
am
that
I?
mean?
Yeah.
Who am I? So once I was able to realize, Kristen helped me realize that it's not the skills that you have are not because you work for Merck, right? Like, yeah, they help nurture them, but it doesn't mean that when you leave, those skills stay with Merck. Those skills with you. So being a mentor, being a leader, being a project manager, being all of these great things, building these friendships, that doesn't mean they just leave when you resign. That was another thing I was afraid of. I built so many relationships over the
Mhm.
past umpteen years. I love being able to just I am my friends and I would be connected to just that community and that ecosystem of just family with Merck and that culture,
Mhm.
right? I just felt like I'm abandoning them. I'm abandoning the mission. Like, I don't want to be that. But I did a lot of praying, and Fabian, when I say he supported me in so many ways, I was just floored. Like, of course, you got to have the talks about the money, but it was also the mental.
Mm.
Because when Synergy started in February 2023, you have your months where you're waiting for that phone to ring. But then
Yes.
once it starts picking up, I'm like, okay, I literally cannot do all of this and corporate. We just can't. So one
I'm
of
about
one
to
of us had
call
to
a
make
day.
this.
I'm about to call in a day of PTO.
Right. It's just like, but you know what hit me one day, Sean? We got our first big client where we had a caregiver working full time for us.
Mm. Wow.
Full time. So
Full
when
time.
payroll came around, she was pulling the same amount of hours I was pulling for Merck. And I said,
Wow.
how can I lead this team who are starting to accrue 40 hours? Thank you, Lord.
Yes.
Right? 'Cause that's but I'm not able to dedicate full time.
Yeah.
That's when it hit me.
Mm.
That's when it hit me. I'm creating livelihoods for my team, but I'm not jumping in full time. And we knew it had to be one of us. And at the time for me, I was I would not have been able to balance. My role was very demanding.
Yeah.
And I said, if anybody needs to leave and lead this team, I'll do it. Let it be me. Let it be me.
Girl.
And
Hold on. So
I remember
how did you write your letter? I mean, what was you thinking?
it was a whole, thanks to Kristen, it was a whole process. I actually wrote it like the previous year. It was a homework assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wrote it. I let her and my best friend Ashley read it. And they were like, that's all you're gonna say? And I was like, what do you want to say? It was not drawn out. Um, it was just direct. At first, because my first letter was really long. It was more of a letter to my. It was like a declaration. It was
Yeah.
like, over the past umpteen years, I've done this, and this was like, okay, come on now, wait, we got to reel back. But then when I wrote it, I think Ashley or Kristen was like, no, you can't just say that. Like my last name. So
I'm out.
yeah. So I wrote it a few days before, and I just saved it.
Okay.
Um, but something came over me. It was the first of the month.
Mm-hmm.
It was June. June is a special month for me because that is my late grandmother's birthday month.
Mm.
Um, and it was a peace that morning that came over me, and it was like, all right, today's the day. I asked I either had a one-on-one already scheduled, or I just went ahead and asked my manager, "You have some time today?" And I did it. It was like ripping the Band-Aid off.
Wow.
It wasn't easy, but it was peaceful.
And it was
And
necessary.
after that, I had told my mom before, I said, "Mom, I'm gonna resign." And she was like, "You sure?" I said, "Mommy, I prayed about it. I feel good. I'm gonna do it." So I checked that box because I'm a mama's girl. I went back to
Okay.
my mom. My dad, he's the type, because he's, full-time entrepreneur. He's like, "Well, I've been waiting for you." He was ready. He was so excited. He was, my dad is he always says, "You got to do what you got to do. Whatever situation you put yourself in, do what you got to do. Don't kind of, do what you have to do." So, that has always stuck with me. My dad is like, whatever choices you make, whatever situations you find yourself in, it's typically because you've made a decision to,
Mhm.
one path leads to another. So do what you got to do to get out of that, or do what you got to do to get through it. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. He was excited. He was really excited, and with their support, and of course with Savion's, I even spoke to my daughter about it. I mean, how often do we tell our children, "Oh, I'm
That's
gonna be
right.
leaving my," I told her, and I was honest. Um, she was like, "Oh, so you're not gonna have like 5 jobs?" She teased me. She was like, "So you're not gonna have 5 jobs? How you gonna?" I was like, "Oh
Oh
goodness."
gosh.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I did it, and no one really saw it coming. It was tears in every meeting, but it was time. It was just the right time, and I would do it that way again if I had to.
I was gonna ask you
Um,
that. Have you ever looked back? Because I remember making one, so I'm like you. So I grew up, but it was GSK, and I was there 21 years. And
mm,
I had to, and I felt so much loyalty to that company and to that corporation because they invested so much in me. And so I'm like, how do I leave my family, right? I was like, I am cheating on GSK. This is not right.
exactly,
And so there was a whole complex
exactly.
about it, but I knew that God opened up another opportunity for me. And I think I called them and defined them destiny steps, because had I not
Mm,
gone to Biogen, I know that I would not be doing what I'm doing in the entrepreneurial space right now. And I know
yeah,
that there is more, right? So that's why I'm so fascinated with parts of your story. Um, but I lived 5 minutes down the road from GSK. I live
ooh,
45 minutes away from my new organization. And
wow.
one day my mom asked me, she was like, "Do you miss it?" And I was like, you know what? I pass by there every time on the way to work, and I never even thought about it. Like, it was never an after. I love the people, I love the culture, I still stay in contact with them. But instead of me being dedicated and loyal to a corporation or organization, I had to be dedicated and loyal to what God had placed on the inside of me. And so I took that lesson with me wherever I go, to
Yeah,
understand that I can't be defined by a role or a title or even an amount of money. It is all about purpose. So it just puzzled me that I passed by this place and I never thought about turning in, where for 21 years of my life, every
that
day,
was your routine, right?
that was my routine.
Wow.
So have you ever looked back?
I haven't, maybe because it's still fresh. The only part that I realized, that one of the hardest things that I had to adjust to was using that technical part of my brain. With home care, it's more emotional, very emotional, whether it's the clients, the caregivers. I miss that technical part of
Hmm.
my brain. So every once in a while, I may have a friend that'll call with some random, I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, I'm ready,"
Yeah,
or
we
Savion,
solve
of
this
course.
problem.
Yeah, let me solve this problem. Sometimes Savion might say, You want to use that part of your brain?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, please." But I'm starting to adjust. to that, but I haven't looked back yet. No, not in that sense. Not in that sense. I still stay connected to my friends and the relationships that I made there. That is what really means a lot to me. Making sure that I don't lose those friendships. I mean, I went through life's ups and downs at work,
Yeah,
literally, right? And so I was so connected to the people that just loved on me. I was like the youngest on site when I came, so
you are the baby that
I
grew up.
was the baby for a long time that grew up there. So I haven't looked back, but I know that my year is coming up. So I'm curious how that's gonna feel come June. Someone messaged me a few weeks ago for my birthday. He was like, "Oh, you think it's time to come back?" I was like, "No, not yet."
Oh
It's not time. My work here is not done, for life after Merck, so
my. So let me. First of all, again, I'm floored. I'm amazed. I want to cry and hug you and do all of those things in one
Oh,
because rarely, for me, this is how I define it. I think there's extraordinary potential in all of us.
mhm.
But what separates those who truly, truly are extraordinary is they do something with it. They
Yeah.
pursue it. They conquer the hard things. They
Mhm.
I don't even like to say fail for it. They learn for it. They take
Yeah.
calculated risk. They are intentional, and all of those things are to me a summary of your life's journey of maximizing your
Thank you,
potential and
Sean.
becoming, right? So
Yeah.
for someone who may be on the fence, they always knew that there was something inside of them. They were
Mhm.
always called to mission. Maybe they thought they were going to be this thing, but in reality there's so much more. But they're just
Yeah.
afraid to take that step. What advice would you give them?
I would say you have to trust your gut. You have to trust yourself. There's a saying with one particular real estate firm, bet on red, bet on yourself. And why wouldn't you trust your own self, right? Um, One thing that I had to realize was, again, those skills of being a self starter, being able to work without needing direction. I can figure things out for myself. Um, those are the things that you need if you're thinking about being a full time entrepreneur. You still got to get up early. I mean, you got to have a routine, you got to have a process, you got to have goals, you got to have a plan. Those are the things that we do in a career, right? Someone may give them to you, but I mean, we all get into a place you're like, oh yeah, I knew I had to do that. Or you get a new project and you're like, well, I know the steps that I have. It's the same thing. So I think the biggest thing is trusting yourself and trusting that the skills that you bring daily into your current situation, trust that you're going to bring them into your daily situation when you're becoming a full-time entrepreneur, because you are your own safety net at that time. So every day is go time. Does it mean that we don't have long nights or early mornings where we're just working? I absolutely love to work. My favorite place in this house is this
Yeah.
chair. I love to work because it doesn't really feel like work when I'm working on things that are going to improve the business, improve my culture with my caregivers, improve how I communicate with the clients, business partners. I don't look at it as work. That's just me. Um,
I'm
but
very much
when you
wired
know
that
that,
way. Yeah.
so if I'll go from any other room in the house and I'll just naturally sit here, I just love my office. I love it. Sometimes I'm just like, well, what am I didn't, why am I, I'm supposed to be doing something else, but it's just the place where I can just freely think. That's why I decided to take this here. I just feel most comfortable here. But the biggest thing for someone sitting on the fence is to trust yourself. trust the skills that you've gained over the past few years from whatever experiences you've had and take them with you. And just know that you're going to soar. Of course, you got to, it got to be calculated. You
Yes.
can't just jump without thinking. But just trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is so good. I don't want to let you go. I'm gonna have to do a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
I know, because
Honey, but let me ask you this, and this is not to like throw more things at you, right? Or give you more ideas, but I'm so very serious about this. If someone wants to reach out to Crystal, and I'm going to tell you what they would want to reach out to you for, because I believe not only are you you serve, your mission is to help, and to inspire and to empower. You truly, as I've been listening to you, you truly maximize human performance in every aspect of the word. Like, you transform lives. When you walk into a room, Crystal J Alston, you make the difference. And I know that because you walked into a room that I was in, and there was something about you that just lit the place up. You make a difference. You transform lives. Like, people's lives are better when they meet you. And so if people are looking for Crystal to speak, because I'm actually going to be asking you some things about how you can do some speaking engagements, even back in the corporate space for, young ladies who are aspiring just to be more inside and outside of work. If you're honey, yes, it's about to be a whole situation. I'm get out your brain.
That's a whole nother.
Yes, but because when you speak, your story alone is just enough. Like, it's enough. This time that we spent together, you simply told your story. This is going to change somebody's lives. It's a blueprint. So to tell your story, if they want to book you to be a speaker, if they are looking for a mentor, you mentioned a young lady from your hometown who poured into you. You are a natural born mentoring coach. Like, you are.
Thank you.
If they are, wanting to pick someone's brain around how to get started, and should you start on your own and maybe partner with a franchise, there is just so much that you offer. And if they are interested in, the services that you provide now, how can they get in contact with you for like all those things?
Yes, for all those things.
And they have to get in line, because I'm lying.
I know that's right. You're like, look, I'm first. So the best way would be email. I check my emails all the time. So Crystal Alston, CRYS Alston, ALSTON at synergyhomecare.com.
Awesome. I will make sure that I will put that in the chat. Crystal, I've just really, really enjoyed you. I know that this is the beginning of something so beautiful. And again, I admire you. I adore you. And this conversation just solidifies why Savion said what he said about you. It was so true and so much expectations.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much for having me. Again, like I said, it's very rare for me to hear someone say, well, what's your journey look like? And as you can see, it's been a long journey. And thank you for the time to allow me to reflect. This was really good for me and my soul. So thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
All right. Listen, y'all saw her here. We got a lot of other places that we got to go.
That's right.
But again, thank you. My love to Savion. All right. I don't want to,
Dwayne.
Oh my goodness. So I do not want to say goodbye, but we're going to do our tradition. So it's not goodbye. It's just see you soon.
See you later. Yeah.
All right. So you all listen, I hope you enjoyed this. Go back and listen to the replay, share it with your friends. Make sure that you allow someone else to experience what we've been able to experience here tonight. So we're waving out. See ya.
Bye.